Hey guys, how's it going? It is 2:30 in the morning. I just got home from work, but I also just finished Thrawn, the latest canon novel out from Lucasfilm, written by Timothy Zahn, the father of Thrawn. And I want to give you guys my spoiler-free opinion on that. But first, I wanted to address some criticism that I've received from a very close friend of mine who, rightfully so, pointed out that I've been a little bit unfair to the character of Thrawn. To be clear, I mostly have an issue with Legends Thrawn in particular. I was okay with him in the Thrawn trilogy, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Stand. He made some leaps in logic that just were a little bit too superhuman-y for me, and the way that that trilogy concluded, it was a little bit unbelievable for me because Thrawn is so ridiculously intelligent in that series of books that I didn't quite buy into it. I was okay with the character, but I wasn't in love with him either. I think that my true dislike for Thrawn came with the Hand of Thrawn duology. If you're unfamiliar with the Hand of Thrawn duology, it came out a few years after the Thrawn trilogy, and canonically, timeline-wise, it took place something like 20 years after the Thrawn trilogy. And I listened to all my books on audio, pretty much, because I'm allowed to have an earbud in at work. So I can crank out books very, very quickly. And that series of books, the Hand of Thrawn duology, was 50 some odd hours of me listening to beloved heroes like Leia and Han and Talon Karrde and Luke Skywalker bumbling around the galaxy, not accomplishing anything, not communicating with each other at all, just running around the galaxy like chickens with their heads cut off because Thrawn's back! Ah! Everybody lose their minds! And I didn't want that. I don't want that. I mean, literally, right behind the camera, I have a poster from the propaganda book that was written by Pablo Hidalgo and a few others, I believe. Maybe it was just Pablo Hidalgo. But anyways, the point is that I've got a poster right behind the camera that is done up with the Force Awakens style stuff. You've got some of the Force Awakens X-Wings, the T-70s, following First Order TIE fighters. And it just says, "We beat them before, we will beat them again." And that's what I want. I don't want to watch beloved heroes bumbling all over themselves because Thrawn's back. I want them to just go, "Oh, crap, he's back. Guess we got to deal with it." And they don't. It's just 50 hours of them running around bumbling everywhere and not accomplishing anything. And eventually this Thrawn impersonator, who is actually what started all these rumors about Thrawn coming back, is dealt with by an Imperial. He kind of just walks in and goes, "Yeah, you guys are freaking out over nothing. Just here's this guy." You know? And I didn't agree with that. It didn't sit well with me. And I wish if it did, but it just didn't. I mean, I know that there might be people out there watching. You yourself might enjoy the Hand of Thrawn duology. It cheapened up my heroes so much that it killed my comfort with Thrawn. Like I said, I was willing to accept him when I read the Thrawn trilogy, but I wasn't really willing to take him in as a beloved character. And then the Hand of Thrawn duology came out, and then I'm just like, well, if Thrawn's this ridiculous, I don't even want to see him. He's too ridiculous because every time that and I just kind of got grumpy about him. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. So anyways, with that probably 5.5 minute long ramble out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the spoiler-free review of Thrawn. Now, I always try and start off my reviews on a negative note because I always want to start off on a positive note. And I'm going to be straight with you guys. There is exactly one thing that I actually disliked in this book. The character of Price. Yes, that Price. The one from Rebels. She is a very prominent part of this book. I don't think that's a spoiler, really. up until about 3/4 of the way through this book, I was mostly just sitting there going, okay, come on. Can we just like get back to Thrawn and Eli and what they're doing? I really don't care what's going on with Price here. And I say that because we do have such amazing villains like Orson Krennic to compare her to. I do see Price throughout most of this book as kind of a more boring Orson Krennic. She is a extremely intelligent, extremely driven Imperial that is interested in her own personal gain, her own personal power, and gaining prestige. Which is exactly what Krennic is. But Krennic does it in a much more amusing way, a much more humorous way, a much more, how do I put this? Entertaining way. He has much more capacity for manipulation. He's much more capable at that. And I just found Price to be kind of boring. I mean, and again, that's because I have characters like Rey Sloane and Orson Krennic and Kylo Ren to compare her to. So I guess that's really the only downside that I have to this book. Otherwise, on to the good stuff. Holy crap. This book saved the character of Thrawn for me. Period. End of story. I could just cut the video right now. Just go buy the book. If you're a fan of Thrawn, if you hate Thrawn, I don't care. You're going to love this book. You're going to enjoy it. It's definitely not my favorite new canon book. It's not close to Lost Stars yet, but it is definitely, in my opinion, slightly better than Catalyst, slightly worse than Battlefront Twilight Company, for what it's worth. Which I guess is crazy arbitrary, so that doesn't really help you guys, but it makes sense in my head. Now, we get to learn things like how Thrawn was found, which is not really spoiler for me to say that it's basically the same kind of thing, but we get a ton of things recanonized that we had back in Legends. We get to see Thrawn fight racism, and you get to see his companion throughout most of this novel, Eli, fight xenophobia because he's from wild space, so all the core worlders don't really care about what he has to say. They just see him as a dumb kid. And you get to see the Empire grow, which is really nice because you see the movies and you just kind of see Emperor Palpatine going, I will reorganize the Republic into the new Galactic Empire. And then, boom, TIE Fighters, Star Destroyers, Death Stars, yay, Grand Moffs. And that doesn't quite mesh, but in this book, you really get to see the progression of the Empire going from Venator-class Star Destroyers, Venator, I actually never bothered to figure out how to pronounce that, to Imperial-class Star Destroyers, to M2-class Star Destroyers, to Super Star Destroyers. You get to see that progression over the years throughout this book, which is really, really nice to see. Now, on to the character of Thrawn. Trying to go super spoiler light for you guys, because this is the spoiler-free review. The best way to put this is that Thrawn is flawed in this. He gets a little bit obsessed, especially with a very certain antagonist that I'm not going to even mention by name. You'll see what I mean. But this particular antagonist to Thrawn is exactly what I asked for. I wanted a Moriarty to counter Thrawn's Sherlock Holmes. And we got that. We got somebody that can equal Thrawn in terms of tactics and military might and intelligence and wisdom and insight. We have a character that could actually stand against Thrawn, that isn't just, oh, I'm a Jedi, so I'm just going to Jedi my way through it. And that's what I've been desperately asking for ever since I read the Thrawn trilogy, and especially since I got through the Hand of Thrawn duology. So yeah, overall, to put an arbitrary number on it, this is a solid 8 out of 10 for me, and I'm not a big Thrawn fan. So if you're a big Thrawn fan, you will love this book. I guarantee it. But I guess that's about all of my opinions on this, at least spoiler-free review. I will definitely be doing a spoiler review and a Geek Out review starting probably next week. I'm going to get that up next week for you guys because this weekend's going to be crazy with Star Wars Celebration. I am super hyped. I am going to get no sleep at all, even though that I'm not even going, because I'm going to be up editing videos and live streaming reactions to panels and all that kind of stuff. I hope to enjoy this journey with you guys through Star Wars Celebration and beyond. Hit a like on this video if you enjoyed the review, hit subscribe for more stuff, and as always, may the Force be with you guys.